Out of our 5 key animals, the shadow guide is one of the most important because the shadow guide represents the energy that we inherit from our past, that we don't know, that is usually scaring us, and we have that energy with us that creates all the karma. All the karmic influences are structured within the shadow guide. So, at the end of every life, the most valuable creation we do is the belief that we have about that life. So we'll always have a question at the end of one incarnation. Was it easy? And depending on the answer of our soul, we get the quality of light or shadow. So, as the hardest it was for us, we get the shadow that's very strong and dominant. And in every single life, we create a shadow. And shadow is everything that we reject, everything that we do not accept. Because the reality of life is that everything is us. There are many things that we do not understand, and that's why we are learning them in many lifetimes, in many incarnations, changing the experiences. So we become something that we do not know or that we do not understand in order to understand it. So this is the way how we learn, how we get all the experiences. And at the end of every single life, there is always the same question. Was it easy? So if it was not that much easy, there is a shadow. And shadow is like a long tail that we have that contains memories of many incarnations. So we have many shadows in us. Some of them are very strong, some are not. But deep down in our soul, there is a fear. And that fear is structured of those shadows that we have. So in every life, you can ask yourself, what are you afraid of? What are your fears? Where are they? And you have them somewhere. They can be connected with you directly, with your survival, or with someone else, or with anything. But all that is your shadow. So that shadow actually creates a special path of your life, of your destiny. So you are very often creating a path of your destiny that you wouldn't normally, but you do it just because of the existence of a shadow. So how does the shadow exist? So your shadow folder becomes, in time, quite a sizable one. And it creates its own reality. And you know what? That's a huge energy that you reject just because you do not have an experience of it, you do not understand it, and you're very easy to say, okay, I reject that. I do not accept that. That's not me. That's you. You're like that, la la la, whatever. But at the end of the day, it was not an easy life to you. So that's the measure of our soul. And that's actually very important measure of maturity of our soul. So, for many lifetimes, we create that energy that follows us. And the first step in our karmic integration is to discover our shadow guide. Shadow guide is the energy in form of a special animal, because all the energies are seen as different animals. So that's an animal that's a leader of all of your shadows. As I said, you have many shadows for many lifetimes, but there is one that is a key one, that is a leader of all of them, and it's called a shadow guide, your shadow guide. And you don't know where have you created that one. That one has been created in a certain life. There is a reincarnation astrology that can calculate and find out when have you created that energy. that is actually guiding all the other shadows. But that's a very important, and there is nothing negative about that. It's very important for you to understand that when you start working with your shadow, that there is no any negativity to it, unless you label it like that. Unless you say, oh yeah, that's a negative, and that means you're not ready for it. The truth is, shadow is just shadow. It's very quiet, and you need to know how to dive deep into your shadow part and to accept yourself, to be with yourself, walking into your shadow. And if you have that peace deep down, shadow will respect you. Actually, shadow will accept you, and with that energy, you will start to work together. So you will just realize that whatever you have rejected in so many lives is actually part of you that can help you, that has many gifts for you, that you actually were not aware of it. And at that moment, your enemies are becoming your friends. And that's a very powerful gift that you get directly from your shadow. So shadow will help you to change the energy, to transform the energy of all that you do not understand, that you easily reject and put in that folder that actually starts working against you, so that it actually starts working for you. So that's this transformation. There are no enemies unless you label them like this. Once you label them like this, they become so, because that becomes your belief. And whatever your belief is, the universe says, fine. You said, oh, no, that life was not easy. That was like, oh, I cannot forget that. Or whatever you say, no problem. That's your reality. That's what you're going to get. That's your shadow. You're born with that shadow. And that's like a tail that you have, a very long one. It goes with you. So it takes your maturity to make that first step. The first and the most important step in your spiritual development, in your karmic integration, is to integrate with your shadow so that your fears are changed, transformed truly, and become the source of great energy for you, the source of energy that supports you. You are the one that would walk on that dark path. And on that path, if there is someone who should be afraid of, it's not you. You are not scared of that darkness. Perhaps darkness can be scared of you, but you choose to be good to darkness. And that's how you work with the shadow. You are definitely the peaceful one, the one that is so accepting yourself that the shadow trusts you and works for you and reveals all the gifts to you. So you change, your energy changes, and that reflects on your physiology first. Your health becomes normal, your health becomes great, and also the energy of other circumstances in your life also get that reflection. Because whatever is in you is reflected on everything around you, because everything around you is you. That's the reality, that's the truth. But you need to touch yourself deep into your soul, traveling through all of these shadows, through that long tail that we have, and finding your shadow guide. So, in Astro Animal Spirit Guides, the way how we discover what is our shadow guide is through looking at a specific area in zodiac where the shadow guide can emerge, and to do a special test. So there is a test with a few questions that you need to do, and depending on the answers, we just check in a chart who was speaking to, which energy was giving the answers. So it is not your conscious mind that is giving the answers. There is always deeper energy that actually provides all those answers. So as astrologers, we need to know what actually represents the codes for a shadow. And in my book, The Energy of the Shadow, I described like different shadows. Where do you find them? How do you find them? But in order to find a shadow guide, I said there is a kind of a test plus the astrology chart. And what you will find out is that the shadow is coming always from your 12th house, because the 12th house represents the beliefs of your previous life, but not only the previous, there can be some other lives. So you use south node as well, and there are other factors like very specific degrees in the zodiac that can be activated. So there is a whole module of education how you discover your shadow guide. But it's so great. Once you discover that, you can create a whole chart for that animal, for that energy. So basically, in Astro Animal Spirit Guides, we work with hundreds of animals, and we have a way how to create a separate charts for any given animal in your chart. So once we calculate those charts, we can easily see the answers that are given there. So you just see how was that given and what is that energy. So what is important, once you understand the shadow guide, you start working with that energy, with that animal. You start working with that in many different ways, like learning what the gifts are, how to come in tune with that energy, how to actually accept that energy, the gifts of it. And then energy changes in your life, in everything around yourself. So energy that goes through your body and mind that connects you, it changes. It is very important part. I would say the shadow guide is the most important guide of all the others. Because once you have that energy works for you, you have a great resource of energy in yourself. So you can invest that energy into developing different qualities in your life, in developing your purpose. But you need to have that energy that is otherwise blocked in those folders of shadows that you create at the end of every life. So you have many folders of a shadow. So once they work for us, we are different. Our path we are going is become different. It is not defined anymore by those unconscious fears that we have, because they are not unconscious anymore. They are now our friends. They are very conscious. They are working for us. We become those who have that energy, who accept the responsibility. And by that, we get the power. So that's the balance of a mature soul. And with that, we'll live our life. But things that changes with the shadow guide, once the shadow guide is accepted or developed or integrated with us, is that we do not reject things in our life. There are many things still that we may not understand, but they are equally part of us. Just as all the cells in our body works for us and they are part of us, the same is with all the people and they are all interconnected. You know, you can have a cell of your liver or cell of your nail, but they are all interconnected. It's all part of greater you. You may not need to understand them because your human mind is not necessarily big enough to understand the physiology, which is way more intelligent, which is actually connected to cosmic intelligence. So that's why working with a shadow guide includes working with your own body, with your own physiology on different levels. You practice different exercises. You practice meditation, but also different exercises on a different way. It's not the same way how you used to practice them. So we work with those energies that actually goes through our body, not only physical, but also through our ethereal body. And on that level, we develop a new personality, new mind, new understandings, and we start to reject less. And we start to reject less and to accept more. And our life becomes easier and easier. And that's the way, this is the key value of our beliefs. This is how we create our beliefs. Because all of our beliefs are created as a reality that we have nowadays in our life, that we live it. It's not anything in our mind. We create beliefs through the experience of our soul, of all the relationships that we, maintain or we have maintained. They're all in us. So our beliefs are structured more in our body than in our mind. Our beliefs are very deep in us. So we need to understand that our body is actually part of a greater mind of us, part of our mind that materialize. We materialize our reality through our body. So those two things, mind and body, represent one lightness. And if it is light enough, shadow is a dual friend. And all the past works for us just as all the energy is integrated. So this is the most important, the first step, and the most important for any kind of spiritual development and karmic integration.